Hi guys, and welcome back to Movies That Matter. I am the Viking, and today I want to talk about why Ryan Reynolds' potential return as Green Lantern isn't that crazy. Now, there's so many people online that are in love with the idea of Ryan Reynolds coming back. There's so many people saying, no, I don't want to see it whatsoever. It's never going to happen. It wouldn't make sense. But I think it's kind of fascinating to look at the people who say this is crazy, to say that this should never happen or would never happen, because we can't definitely say that it won't happen. Me, I'd like to see it. I would like to see it. I'd like to get him some sort of redemption from the 2011 film, which was a disaster. He got it with Deadpool. 2009 Wolverine was a disaster. Then he came back in 2016, 2018, knocked it out of the park. Two great films, and that's the big character that he's known as today. But to say that this is just out of reality, that it can't happen, you can't say that, because it might sound crazy. Zack Snyder's Justice League coming back 4 years later to kind of redo his story and his vision, but then adding Ryan Reynolds to it. People are saying it's not really his, it'll be a compromise. I don't think so. The reason I want it, the reason I think it would be a possibility, I think the reason it would be cool, is that it would attract eyes to HBO Max. It would make the possibility of a season 2, season 3 of Justice League a more reality. Ryan Reynolds, a huge mega star, not just in movies but in business, and a huge social media following that he has, could gather in more people to HBO Max to watch it, which is good for HBO Max, good for us, because we want to see more of Zack Snyder's vision and the story, the 5-story arc that he wants to tell us. Now, I've already mentioned Wolverine Origins. Deadpool, completely done wrong, comes back, knocks it out of the park with Deadpool 1 and 2. But the reason I think it's a possibility, and the reason I think I'm entertaining this, is because the Snyder Cut got announced, which was unbelievable, but also there's no signs from Disney to use Deadpool whatsoever. They have this billion-dollar product on their hands, but they have a lot of billion-dollar products, and Kevin Feige is probably thinking, I can live without Deadpool. You know, the MCU has been successful without him. It will be successful without him again going into these new phases of the MCU. I really think that they're not going to do an already Deadpool film. I think there is chances that they could do a PG-13 one, or have him come up in cameos and stuff like that, but would it really work after the audience has seen the R-rated one? I don't know. It could be a big risk. Could be a big risk for Ryan Reynolds coming back and doing that in a capacity as well. I would love to see him interact with Spider-Man. I would love to see him interact with Thor. That would be a dream come true. That would be so cool. But does it set the stories that they're trying to sell, trying to tell and sell going for the future of the MCU? I don't know. So there's so many examples where stars have been in Marvel, they've been in DC, they've come back to a character after so many years, and a character that they've been known for, but then a character that they've been known for, but they might be in a bad film, but they still come back for the next film. You know what I mean? So to say Ryan Reynolds coming back as Green Lantern would never happen. End of the line. I don't believe that, because he has flirted with the idea for so long. He's talked about the Snyder Cut in public, Brazil Comic Con. He's tweeted about it. He's had fun. He's even made a meme trailer about Green Lantern. He's even killed Green Lantern in a film. God's sake, you know. So that's why I think he's open to the idea, and he's a businessman, and he thinks there's a possibility here with this product, with these characters. If he could prop up in Zack Snyder's Justice League, it could be a big win, not only for him, but for Zack Snyder's Justice League. And going forward, you could get a Green Lantern movie, you could get Green Lantern Corps film, you can get stuff like that, which would be pretty cool. Also, what we could see is a Justice League 2 and 3 announced and going ahead with him as the character. But J.K. Simmons is playing Commissioner Gordon in Zack Snyder's Justice League. He was in the Raimi Spider-Man world. He's now in the MCU Tom Holland world. He is in the DCEU theatrical version of this world also, in the Justice League cut. And now he's going to be in the Snyderverse as Commissioner Gordon. So there is already 4 different universes that he is in comic book movie genres. What's to say that Ryan Reynolds can't come and do the same thing? Look, it's different stories, it's different interpretations of these characters. So why not? Why can't this happen? People are saying it's Jeff Johns' character. Jeff Johns won't get producer if they use Ryan Reynolds as Green Lantern. He won't. He doesn't own the character. He worked on a lot of the comic books. He works on the 2011 film, but this is a completely different incarnation of that character. The Snyderverse is happening on HBO Max. Aquaman, Wonder Woman, they can have their own individual stories on the big screen away from HBO Max, and they don't have to connect, they don't have to relate, they don't even have to talk or reference each other at all, and it can still work. That's the beauty of the DCU right now. It is the multiverse, and the Snyderverse is very different from the multiverse. Everything is its own thing, its own story. Matt Reeves is getting to do his own thing. Let James Wan do his own thing, his trilogy with Aquaman. Patty Jenkins does her thing. I'm sure there's little references. There's stuff that ties in with the previous movies, but there's also a lot of stuff that probably doesn't tie in with the other movies as well. So that way it can work. And audiences, I think, have come to the fact, or will come to the fact, that the DCEU isn't what the MCU is. Nothing has to connect as much as the MCU does, even though they're going in a multiverse direction as well. So they don't necessarily have to connect or link together on the DCEU big screen, the theatrical versions, and the HBO Max stuff can do their own thing. Lawrence Fishburne in Man of Steel, in Batman vs Superman, also in, what was it, Ant-Man and the Wasp he was in as well. So, you know, I know he is not playing such a big character like a Superman or a Green Lantern, but he's still a character that is going in and out of these universes into these different MCU characters, DC characters. And audiences are able to understand, they're able to not reference and get confused by these things. So why should we, as a core fan base, be so against the idea of Ryan Reynolds appearing in this film? If it does happen, and remember, additional photography is happening this week, happened last week, and this week as well with Zack Snyder's Justice League. So who knows what else could happen? Jared Leto has already popped up. Is Joe Manganiello going to be appearing as well? Ben Affleck is already back. Amber Heard. Who else is to come and do these additional photography? We have Jeremy Irons, who's playing Alfred in Batman v Superman in Justice League, and he also was Watchmen's Ozymandias in their HBO Max show. You know, so these are actors. They can play different characters at the one time. Michael B. Jordan. He can be Johnny Storm, he can be Killmonger, and he's also doing another DC product where he's a producer and he might even be in it as well. So he got to be Johnny Storm in the Fox Marvel universe, he got to be in the MCU Marvel universe, and he could end up being in the DC universe. Who else do we have here? Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Who would have thought they would have come back and play Spider-Man again, I should say. And that's a lot of the rumours that's going on right now with Spider-Man 3 and Doctor Strange 2, the Multiverse of Madness. There's a huge possibility that they could come back. Jamie Foxx is coming back, for God's sake, after all these years, after his character was completely butchered. Talk about Deadpool and Wolverine Origins. Talk about Green Lantern in the 2011 solo film. Jamie Foxx can't really talk either, you know. So Ryan Reynolds has spoken about the Schneider Cut before. You know, he really has. And if you want to believe reports, Grace Randolph has said that he is very open, not just now, but for the last few years he's been open to come back to the character. You know, so what's to say he doesn't want to come back now in this new incarnation that Zack Snyder is trying to tell? And HBO Max will be the perfect way to do that right now, because theaters aren't open. HBO Max is where Warner Bros. Have to put all their focus on at the moment, because theaters aren't open. Probably not going to be open until next March or May at the latest. Anyway, so Superman in Batman v Superman, Superman from Justice League, Headless Superman in Shazam, Jared Leto Joker in Birds of Prey. See the differences there? We got to see Henry Cavill's Superman in Man of Steel in BVS, a headless cameo in Shazam. Whose Superman was that supposed to be? We get to see the mustache Superman. So Zack Snyder's Superman is different from Josh Whedon's Superman, is different from what we got to see in Shazam. You know, so the DCU Justice League on-screen big movie that we all went to go see in 2017 is going to be a lot different from Zack Snyder's incarnation of these characters. And what's to say that Zack Snyder's incarnation of Green Lantern in the 2011 film can be very different from the one that he could end up in his film. Jeff Johns' incarnation, Snyder's incarnation. What's the problem? So Jared Leto can return after $1 billion Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie has come. Joaquin Phoenix came to the Joker role after Jared Leto won an Oscar and got $1 billion. And still Jared Leto is coming back to the role. Anything is possible, guys. Anything is possible. This would be a new interpretation of Green Lantern. It would not be related to the Green Lantern 2011 film. If this is happening, it's happening because of Zack Snyder and Ryan Reynolds. They wanted. Zack Snyder wouldn't have this in his film if he didn't want it. Ryan Reynolds wouldn't be coming back unless he wanted it as well. Zack Snyder must see a story possibility by having Reynolds come into his word. People are saying it's compromised. People are saying it's not the original 214 film. This isn't what we were going to get in 2017. It wasn't. And who's to say Green Lantern, we don't know which Hal Jordan Zack Snyder has picked, who he would have picked back in 2017. Talks about Sam Benjamin. He ain't Green Lantern, but he ain't Hal Jordan anyway. But we'll have to see. So times change. Zack Snyder's incarnation of these characters, his vision has changed over the last 4 years, and this is more for us as fans. 4 episodes of 1 hour plus material is just going to be great. Marvel, as I said, are not going to make that R-rated Deadpool. They're not. Just in my opinion, it's not going to happen. I'm not saying this is going to be a substantial role in Zack Snyder's Justice League. I don't. I've even said before that I think Green Lantern could be a cameo in a post-credit scene, and very much for the way that Zack Snyder's episodes are being told, I think it will be a post-credit scene or a cliffhanger with Ryan Reynolds as Green Lantern, if he comes back. That's if he comes back. Okay? So, he's a huge star. He really is. He's a bigger star than he was in 2011. He really is. 2011 he was still a big star, but compare that to a decade later, it's a completely different scenario. The same with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Huge mega stars with huge social medias, with huge businesses outside of the movie industry, which really does stand to them because they're known all around the globe. Now, this move would attract so many people to HBO Max. It really would. It would say something about DC and the direction they're trying to go forward. They're listening to the fan base. It's not just fan service for fan service sake. They're doing it because the directors want it, and that's the way the stories are being told. So, look, I'm not saying here that Green Lantern is going to be Ryan Reynolds. Would I like to see that? Of course I would. I really would like to see it. I like Ryan Reynolds. I really do, and I think it would be a great Hal Jordan, much like he was a great Deadpool. But for us to say this is crazy, it's not. If you look at all those examples that I talked about, it isn't that crazy at the end of the day when you break down all the other characters that have portrayed comic book characters over the years. It really isn't that bad. Will Smith can be Hancock, he can be Deadshot. Who's to say 10 years from now he won't be another comic book character? Ben Affleck was Daredevil. He is now Batman. You know what I'm trying to say? Chris Evans was Storm. He was Captain America. So, even if you use Hugh Jackman as an example, he was in some great X-Men films, some average X-Men films, some bad X-Men films, but it never affected the next film. It never affected his performance in the next role. His performance from, say, Wolverine Origins is very different from Logan, but he's playing the same character. Ryan Reynolds' performance from Green Lantern 2011 could be very different from his performance with under Zack Snyder. It really could. And it will be. It won't be the same interpretation of the character. Jared Leto, given more time with a new director under him, can be a completely new Joker, still sticking to what he wanted to do with David Ayer, but being fleshed out a little bit more, giving him a bit more screen time. So do I think Ryan Reynolds is in 10, 20, 30 minutes, 40 minutes of material in Zack Snyder's Justice League? No. If it does happen, I think it'll be a brief cameo, setting things up for the future. Would that be Justice League 2? Would that be a Green Lantern Corps? A Green Lantern Ryan Reynolds film on the big screen? Who's to know? But Zack Snyder's Justice League is built on the premise of cliffhangers, of cameos maybe, of post-credit scenes, because it is in episodic form. I'm sure everything else around that will be great. The story will be great. And yeah. But guys, let me know your thoughts. Ryan Reynolds' return as Green Lantern isn't that crazy if you break it down and look at all the other examples. It really isn't. If Sam Raimi can come back to superheroes and bring back a certain Spider-Man, anything is possible. If Jamie Foxx can come back, if Ben Affleck can come back, when there's already a Robin Pattinson happening right now, if Michael Keaton can come back, there's so many examples. So to say it's crazy, I do not buy that whatsoever. Guys, let me know your thoughts. Give a like, comment, subscribe. If you're not already a subscriber, subscribe. Come on, we love talking about DC content and movies here. That's what we love doing. Come follow me on Twitter, MovieWolf100. You'll also find me on Instagram, Movies That Matter, the Viking. And guys, I want to hear your thoughts. Comment below, what do you think of Ryan Reynolds' potential return to the DC universe under Zack Snyder or on the big screen? What do you think is going to happen? I want to hear your thoughts. And are you one of the guys who thinks Sam Benjamin is Green Lantern? Maybe he is. We'll find out in 2021. That's the excitement around all of this as DC fans. It's a great thing. A year from now, we wanted them to release the Snyder Cut. Fast forward a year later, we're talking about who's going to play Green Lantern. It's a great time to be in.